Some younger viewers of this channel might not know this, but Bill O'Reilly dominated cable news for a very, very long. He was the number one show for like 20 years. In fact, when he went out, he was the number one show. But I believe it was, what was it? The sexual harassment allegations that got him out? No, they came out way earlier. There was that whole lying scandal, but I think he survived that for years too, where he was caught telling blatant, brazen lies about, his career as a so-called journalist. But he was ousted when he was number one. He's still definitely sour about that fact. This is a man who holds a grudge. Well, he went on a show here to discuss Tucker Carlson now being axed from that position. And I love the ornery grandpa vibes here. How he takes these like snide little pot shots and snubs Tucker. But he also gives us some really good insight here as well. So here's Bill O'Reilly, former number one on Fox News, going after the current number one, or recent former number one, Tucker Carlson. Listen to this.
What an incredible news day, John, with Tucker Carlson leaving Fox, gone, and Don Lemon. And joining us now is the mega best-selling author, of course, the host of Common Sense on WABC every night, 9 to 10. And you hear him, of course, on Sid and Friends and elsewhere, the great Bill O'Reilly. Bill, what is your reaction to, earthquakes in the media world today?
Yeah, I'm surprised. 6 years ago this week that I left Fox News after 20-plus years doing the O'Reilly Factor, the dominant cable news program of all time.
It was 6 years ago to this week, not that anybody's counting, that I left Fox News when I was the number one most dominant show of all time on air, but whatever, bro, who's counting, bro? Oh, I love it. Oh, this is wonderful.
For me, for the first 3 years, his ratings were soft.
Media world today.
Yeah, I'm surprised. 6 years ago this week that I left Fox News after 20-plus years doing the O'Reilly Factor, the dominant cable news program of all time. Tucker Carlson took over for me. For the first 3 years, his ratings were soft. He lost about 1 million, maybe a little bit more of my audience. And then in 2020, he took a hard right turn, decided to program for very committed conservative people, whereas I wanted a big tent like WABC wants now. I wanted conservatives, of course, but I wanted liberals and independents to watch me. Carlson basically...
That's hilarious. By the way, he's kind of right. Like, if you go back and watch old Bill O'Reilly shows, and there's plenty of them on YouTube, he does do the tap dance, right? He does I'm not a conservative Republican. No, I'm a registered independent. And if he has on Republican guests, he will ask them tough questions, and every now and then he'll hit you with a position on an issue that's more moderate. But look, by and large, on 95% of issues, Bill O'Reilly is a committed conservative Republican. He votes conservative Republican down the line, but he played the game, right? And he did the act. Now, he's right that Tucker caters to the far right, and is massively contrarian and is kind of conspiracy grained. But Bill does miss the fact that Tucker actually does a similar version to what Bill O'Reilly used to do, which is every now and then on an issue, he'll buck the orthodoxy on the right. And ultimately it doesn't matter because he redirects all that energy to support people like Donald Trump, to support standard conservative Republicans. So it's really just posturing more than anything to reach a younger audience, but it worked. So he's sort of discounting a little bit what Tucker's saying, but or what he's doing, but he is also kind of right that I would say the general thrust of Tucker's show is more contrarian, reaching out to the far right, when he had a white nationalist as a top producer that was outed, versus Bill O'Reilly, who maybe did the tap dance a little better. Let's say that. Maybe did the show a little better. Who, me, bro? No, I'm just telling the straight news, bro. Fair and balanced, dog.
Like WABC wants now. I wanted conservatives, of course, but I wanted liberals and independents to watch me. Carlson basically program for a very hard right audience, and his numbers came up, and he was the second highest rated show on Fox next to the 5. But in the past, I'd say 4 or 5 months, his show and every other show on Fox News has lost a considerable amount of their younger audience, 25 to 54. They have fled for some reason. I don't think it's because of the lawsuit, but I could be wrong on that. Anyway, I train most of the people who are producing the shows at Fox News today. So I know a lot. And on the Tucker Carlson front, they were preparing to do the Monday night show, tonight's show, in mid-morning. They were having their meetings, and as people always do, when word came down that Mr. Carlson was out. Everybody was stunned. Nobody knew why. There was no explanation given. It's just that he wasn't going to do work for Fox News anymore. His last show was last Friday. A show which did not do well in the ratings, by the way, last Friday, interestingly enough. But it wasn't a ratings play that led to his dismissal. It was lawsuits. And Fox settled, as everybody know, for the $7.8 million. I'm sorry, billion.
$788.
I sound like, I said
$1 million.
I sound like
Almost $1 billion. Almost $1 billion.
Is Bill drunk?
I can't get my numbers straight. $780 billion.
He
They
said billion.
settled, everybody knows that. But if you watched 60 Minutes last night, you saw a guy named Ray Epps on, who flat out accused Tucker Carlson of ruining his life. And Epps is setting himself up for a major lawsuit against Carlson and Fox News. Story is that Tucker Carlson implied that Epps had something to do with fomenting the January 6th riot. And that lawsuit, after watching that 60 Minutes broadcast, it's coming. But even more damaging was a producer who worked for the Carlson program, who apparently has some tape, audio tape, of bad things being said. I don't know what they are. But she has already filed a lawsuit against Fox News and Carlson's show. And her lawyers are saying, if you don't pay us a lot of money, we're going to make these recordings public. So in the face of all of that, and then Smartmatic lawsuit, shareholder lawsuits against the Fox company by people who hold their stock, they had to get out.
Look, apart from all the bitter old man and boasting and stuff, like he's actually right on all of it. He's explaining like all these things, one after the other, after the other, after the other, and he just became more trouble than he's worth. Because again, add on the fact that he gets good ratings, but his ad revenue is low. I mean, it's just a recipe for your dunzo. You know, it doesn't matter how much cultural impact you're having in that scenario. And Rupert Murdoch is trying to reassert control over the network. You know, it's like, when I say support DeSantis, I mean support DeSantis. When I say stop talking about butthole tanning, I mean stop talking about butthole tanning. He flew a little too close to the sun, just like Glenn Beck, by the way. Just like Glenn Beck with his chalkboard and his conspiracies. And, I mean, this is the logical end result of it. So anyway, who doesn't love bitter, sour old man Bill O'Reilly? And I'll end on this point. Oh, I have no doubt that Bill O'Reilly is secretly like, please bring me back to that time slot. And even though he's from a different era, the fact of the matter is, I think he'd still be number one. I think he would still be number one. He represents an old school conservatism, but I think he would still be number one in that slot. I think he desperately wants it, but I don't know, man. I don't think they'd bring him back for lawsuit reasons, money reasons. I mean, it all comes down to the money, and it all piles up. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.